Hi, friends. Welcome to Getting Your Real Estate Life Together. I'm Tracy Hicks with All Things Real Estate. And today I'm so happy to have my friend Adi and my business consultant with us to talk about business processes and systems. And I just really needed her help a little bit ago. And now we're going to talk about it. So, welcome, Adi. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So I just well, we'll just start with me getting stuck because that's kind of where my head's at right now. And you and I just got done talking about that. You've been my business consultant for 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, three, going on to four. I think we met in 2017.
Really? Oh my goodness. And I had never had a business coach or a consultant. That just wasn't part of my ecosystem in my business. I just never had anyone. And then I think you got referred to me. And then you and I met and hit it off immediately. And you got me on track with my budget. I was like, budget forecasting? What? I don't want to.
And
So
systems,
this
that
sounds,
was like, but I admire you for getting to where you got without any help. I mean, that was amazing. So you got to a certain level all by yourself, and then you go, okay, I need to break that ceiling, even if it's personally meant as a business owner, as in terms of your staff. So I
yep.
think that was, I think, when we met, that's where you were. You go, okay, I got here by myself, but it's not viable because I'm working so many hours, I'm doing so many things. How do I get to the next level?
Yep.
And that's where the systems came into play, the financial systems, the organizational systems, the really looking at the business and systematizing it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know why I was that way, where I was just winging it, is because I'm a realtor. And that's what realtors do. They get as far, I mean, they get far without having a lot of that stuff in play. But then there are points when they get stuck or where they can't go any further. And it's because they didn't have those systems in place. So I do want to say that because a lot of times, and we get told all the time, you got to have a CRM, you got to have a system for this and that. But then you also have a buyer that wants to go look at 10 houses on Saturday. And, oh, I know I said I want to put my house on the market in a month, but how about we go live this weekend? And all of those things are really which is also another system that should be in place with like listings and things like that. So I think starting where you can in your business and getting those systems in place cause ripple effects of other systems that you're like, oh, I can put that into a system. And then now everybody is on the same page. So, how do you recommend people, like somebody comes to you, they're new, asking for, a new client of yours and asking for business advice? And where do you start with them? Like, what's the first step?
Before I answer that question, it just made me think of something when you said about the realtors. It's no different than other business owners that I meet with for the first time
True.
for the first time. It's, for instance, so realizing that even as a realtor, you are a business, right? So there is always going to be the pressures of production. So for a realtor, it will be somebody that wants to see a house on Saturday, or somebody that wants to put the house on the market this month or this week as opposed to this month. And it's the same for other business owners as well in different professions. The production will take priority. But in order to produce, you have to be able to put a system there. So to go back to answering your question, when I meet with somebody, the first question that I will ask is, what area in your business, if you had well documented or well created systems or processes, would make the biggest return on investment, like would make the biggest change? So the return on investment is not always monetary. Of course, we all want the profit, but return on investment can be gaining 10 hours in your week in order to spend time with your family, or being able to contribute to volunteer in the community, or work out, have a life balance, work-life balance. So whatever your return on investment is, the question is, what area in your business, if you had well-documented processes and procedures, will get you that biggest return on investment? And that is the question to ask. And then we start, I dig in terms of like asking the questions to really identify that area. It might be sales, it might be production, it might be help with admin, whatever it is, we have to tackle that area and figure out how we can add more order to that area. So then you can do more without investing more time by gaining time in other areas of the business.
It's a, right. It's a revolving circle all the time.
Totally.
It really is. And how often do you feel like, because I know that there were a few systems that we needed to put in place and I did it right away. And for me, it was like the budget. Okay, I had the budget, it was in place, I forecasted, I utilized it for like a couple of months and then it kind of faded out. But I think just going through the process alone was really, really helpful for me, whether the end result, whether I use the budget or not, or if my budget's pretty consistent, I know it's there, it's a fallback. But actually, you and I combing through all of those things really opened my eyes to a lot of things that were happening in the business that I either didn't notice or that I thought were operating at a certain level, but weren't, things like that. So, how much time do you really spend during I mean, that must take up quite a bit of time as that part of the getting the system in place, right?
Right. So there is the part of getting the system in place, and then there is the part of follow up, because any system is only good as you make it a habit, right? So there is the whole aspect of change management and adopting that change and making sure that now the new system or the new process is part of your routine. And I really want to emphasize that part on the new. It doesn't have to be new, and that's what I think scares a lot of people. Oh, something new right now, but it's not, because if you really look at your life, you have already processes in place, right? We all have the process of waking up in the morning. I don't know how many people have a different routine. I think the majority of us have probably the same routine, similar routine, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
you make coffee in the morning the same way.
Yeah. Yep.
And unless you intentionally trying to make something different to make your life more interesting, but the majority of us have those habits and routines that we developed and we feel comfortable with,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's the same thing with the system. I mean, you already have that. It's a matter of recognizing what it is, documenting it so you can actually give it to somebody else to do. Or if you do it, you take it from doing it on automatic or unconsciously to bring it up to your awareness that this is the way you do it. And once you have awareness of what you're doing, you're also able to dissect it and figure out what areas need to be improved. So, before the show, we talked about, let's talk about the process of process, but this is really the process of process. The process of creating a process is figure out what do you need to create a process for, figuring out the steps, and then figure out what can you do better, if at all, or if not, making sure that you're actually repeating and doing it.
Yep.
Where can you introduce automatic, like some kind of automation,
Yeah.
using that automation and training your team members on it, right? So, like the simple process of scheduling a client or scheduling an appointment. So if you actually break it down how you do it, and then you add automation such using Calendly, which really, I really think it really changed a lot. Like
Yeah.
before, I would have my admin assistant schedule all the meetings, right? And it will be this back and forth. Like you send an email, I'm available on Thursday between 4 and 6, and Wednesday between 1 and 2, and the next Friday between 3 and 4. And then you get back, no, but I'm available on Monday between 9 and 10. And it
Yep.
goes on and on. Now it's so easy, especially if you both use the same software. If we both use Calendly, it comes with a green dot when you are available. You look for the green dot, you schedule it, and that's it. But that is a result of really looking at how you schedule and using automation in order to make it simpler. So that's part of identifying the process.
Yeah, yeah, and I think same for us with the calendar app. It really helped us too, where somebody, my staff was like, even for podcasts, was scheduling the podcast, and then it was like she was doing all of the same things you just said. And then we realized that we could put it all in there, but also like the form that we asked them to fill out, we can link everything in there. So it's literally just one email to our guests and they take care of the rest and pick the time on the calendar and then fill out the form. It's all right there. So we didn't really think about it until we were like, okay, how can we make this better? And by doing that and, talking to you and meeting with you when I do, that again is so important for a business owner to like take a step back and be like, okay, let's look at this process. Is this actually working? I know we've been doing it forever, and those are almost the worst because you've been doing it for so long and
Right.
things have changed and gotten better, but it's just rolling along. So you're like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. But if you can make it better and take out, I mean, we must have taken out 4 or 5 steps in just one of our processes of like our custom orders. We took 4 steps out, and that, talk about saving so much time and money, as a business. So had we have not looked at that, we wouldn't have realized that, okay, we can do this a little bit better. So you talked about accountability a little bit, and you're really good at that with me. And so, well, probably with all of your clients, but with following up and with accountability, you always schedule a time before we get off our call or whatever. And so I know, okay, I have to have my homework done. I usually do it the night before or the morning of. But like, do you have any advice for accountability or like how people can do that if they're not meeting with a business coach or consultant every month? Or like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's really discipline. It's like working out. I mean, what do you do? Some people cannot do it. I'm really good at discipline. I work out and without having to go to a class, right? I mean, I have my bike here and I have my online classes and I love doing it. But I also, if I get super busy, that's the first thing that gets out, that falls out, right? But I have to remind myself of my why. Like, why am I doing it? Why am I exercising? What are my goals, what I want to accomplish? And if it is big enough for me and it's important enough for me, I will do it. I will get back to doing it. So that would be my number one advice, is really figure out what is your why. Like, why are you doing the things that you need to be held accountable for, right? So let's say, for instance, you want a new marketing campaign. Why are you doing it? Why is it so important for you? And you really have to remind yourself of that why, of that purpose continually, so it will take precedence over the screaming of the day-to-day activities that basically call your name all the time and you just have to attend to it. So that is super important. Get inspired, listen to podcasts or to mentors that you can have access online. If you don't have a business coach that is one-on-one, join some kind of a mentoring group or mastermind group, but call a colleague that you can hold each other accountable, right? But have it on your calendar and do not allow it to get out of your calendar. Do not work with somebody that is not going to allow you to just
Pass it
reschedule the
by.
meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And it's kind of like working out. I mean, I can, and in the past I've done it, I can work out by myself, like, just do the exercises myself. So I'll get on the spin bike and just do it myself. But now, I have those programs, the streaming of the online classes or live classes, because it gets me motivated. So although it's an illusion, it's not really the instructor that knows
Yeah.
me, but
Yep.
she says always the right things. So
The,
it's kind of like, I mean, I have this iFit trainer, I do iFit, and her name is Heather Jensen. She's awesome. She's like completely motivates you, and she says, you can do hard things. And she tells her story about how she did the Ironman, and she has 3 kids, but she still does it. So you feel kind of accountability to her that you have to show up next time, because,
that's
and it's all an
awesome.
illusion, right? But
Yeah.
it's whatever works for you in terms of finding out what works for you, what holds you accountable. And if you feel, you can take it on a step by step, right? So you go, okay, so I can have a colleague of mine hold me accountable, or I can journal and figure out my why and my goal, and write my goal every single night before I go to bed, and wake up in the morning and look at it and says, okay, I'm going to do it. Or you can join a mastermind group, and if it doesn't work, you have to up it enough until it works, until it sticks. And for some of us, it is working with a coach or a mentor, because there is a place for it. And that's one thing about you, Tracy, that I really admire, is that you surround yourself with people that are really have your best interest in mind. You have your marketing team, you have your CPA that I know, you have your bookkeeper, you have me, you have your writer, your graphic designers, you have everybody that is there that you choose to actually have as a team. And I think that's really important because we can't do it by ourselves. I mean, I have a team of professionals that I work with that are my support group. And I think that way we can, boost each other and work with each other and then help each other succeed. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like in real estate, it can get really lonely if you're not on a team or even if you are, it still can, especially obviously during COVID when everybody's at home working from Zoom and doing buyer consultations and listing appointments over the computer. And clearly everybody was feeling that. But yeah, having the people around you, I think I love that you said that have my best interest at heart because I feel like I have everybody's best interest at heart. And so, like minded, you surround yourself with people who are just like you. And it's that give and take, it's never just one way or the other. And so, it is important to have, especially in real estate, because you are a therapist and you're the telephone operator, you're the traffic controller, you're doing all of the things and it can be stressful on any given moment. And one minute you're stressed out and the next minute you have a buyer that's calling you that wants to buy $1 million house and they found it already. And, it's so many highs and lows. And so,
Yeah. And I think it's true for every business owner because I deal with so many industries, but it's that entrepreneurial life, that you feel like, oh, I don't have the security. But honestly, and one of the guests on my podcast, so I don't remember who said that, but he said basically that, if you think the security, it was Louis Schiff, I think I just interviewed him. And he said, if you think you want job security and you're working for somebody, then it's kind of like having one customer. So it's like a realtor having one listing and just that one that keeps giving them listing. Well, that's really the opposite of job security, right? So it's true for every entrepreneur that and founder that although even they have staff that work for them, there it's lonely at the top. And that's where you have to surround yourself with other people and just hearing that they too have their ups and downs, right? They too are freaked out when sales are low and where's the next sale going to come from? And I'm going to go bankrupt too. Oh, now to the next day I have like five, buyers and I'm just like making so much money. I'm so happy, right?
totally, totally. Yeah, it's feast or famine, but it doesn't have to be if you have your systems in place,
That's very true. You
right?
totally have that. And it's having the system and trusting the system, right?
Trusting the system is
Because
good.
let's say, for instance, yeah, maybe it is fist and famine in terms of maybe you're not going to get buyers that are going to call every day, right? But if you have the trust that you have a workable system on how to get buyers and how to promote, then you know that instead of freaking out, you just look at your system and I go, what do I do when sales are not coming in? Oh, okay. So I start promoting here. I start doing ads here. I call these people. I do this. And I've seen people doing it to the degree that they know how many calls they have to make for how many leads to come in or how many phone calls in they come in with interest to buy, to sell, to list, and then to closes, right? So, if you know that you need to contact 100 people, then you sit down and you do your calls, right? I mean, there is this book that I forgot the name of the book, but that was a mortgage company he was a mortgage broker that did really well during the recession. And he was talking about writing those cards with blue ink, the white blank cards, remember what I'm talking about?
No.
But anyway, it's a system that he had where he basically said, okay, well, if sales are not there, what he does, he just writes thank you notes or notes, just on cards, like handwritten cards, and
Yeah.
sends it out. And he has a quota of like 100 or whatever number of cards that he does a day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, wow, this is brilliant, so at least you can do something about it,
Yeah.
right? It's not, you don't sit and dwell on it or you think, this is like awful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you just do it.
Yeah. And I think too that, you and I just met, and this was one of the things we definitely wanted to touch on is getting stuck in your business. And you helped me get unstuck. And a lot of times I think people don't realize that they're stuck. So, that's almost half of the battle. But also, too, when you are stuck, and I just went through this, so I'll just explain really quickly what happened. We made a change in the company. We had a company doing all of our Facebook advertising, and we, have been real consistent over the years, but we want to grow, and it wasn't doing what we were hoping for or whatever after a couple of years. So we brought it in-house and had an in-house marketing person, and Elle was great. She handled the Facebook ads, but we wanted her also to do what I was doing, which I was trying to get stuff off my plate, which was the emails that we do twice a week and the social media posts and talking to people. So a couple of things with that. It was great. Everything worked out, but I got a little disconnected from actually socializing with our customers, which I had been doing for years, but it was working kind of like, okay, I don't want to put myself back in the business. And I was learning, I was working on other things. And then she got another job, and I was like, okay, I think it's time to like bring in a company to try to scale up the advertising. And there's so much stuff that we don't know with the SEO stuff and algorithms, and that's completely not interesting to me at all. So it's not ever anything I would want to learn. And so we brought in a company, and sure enough, it was a perfect storm. The iOS update damaged our Facebook ads. We had switched over companies, so we had to shut off our ads and restart with them, and basically like almost starting from scratch. And I had a major panic attack within myself, and whatever that looks like. But it was like we'd been so consistent for so many years, and then it was just a complete shock to the system. And like I told you, I dwelled in it for about a week, and then I had enough sense to know I've got to talk to some people. And so I called you, and I was like, I know you don't do this, but I need like a booster or something. I just need to meet with you. So I was calling you my business therapist. I was like, can I get a session? I just need to talk this through. And I knew that you're so good at getting me unstuck. And so having just knowing that I had somebody to go to was super helpful. And then obviously me spewing out everything that I needed help with and what was going on, just like a therapy session, I felt much better just getting off my chest. And then you get to give me all of the ideas on what I could do, which gives me hope and tasks to do, things that I could tangibly do for the business to make it better. And so I think all of that is, again, having somebody like you and a business consultant, and I use you in a totally different capacity maybe than most of your clients, or maybe I don't. Like, how does the business consulting world work, or how does your business run? Like, do you meet with people for the whole entire year, or for forever, or one and done? Like, how does your consulting business run?
It really depends on what the business needs. Sometimes it's a project to put in systems and processes in a specific area of the business.
Okay.
And like with your business, Tracy, because it's evolving. So we put systems in one place, but you're doing printing, and now you're doing this. And now, so there are different areas. And as you evolve and grow, the need changes for more systems, for implementing systems, and going back and revisiting systems, because that's really what we did. Is we looked at what was working, because we knew that you have the ability of having systems that work, that we just had a major shift. So we had to look where the major shift came from, and what do we need to do in order to re-implement it. So it really varies it according to what people need, and pretty flexible on how I work with them. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that I recommend business consultants all the time, and I recommend you all the time. And I think that also too, again, going back to your tribe and, your people that can help you in your business, and you're running a business too. So it's really great to talk about that as well, like in learning what you're doing in your business. And you started your podcast, and we'd been doing it for a while. And so it was great to be on your podcast, which is launching this week. So, and that was new for you too. So, how are you, just really quickly before I know that you have to go, but how are you utilizing your podcast in your business? Like, that was something new that you brought in and implemented.
yeah, I started my podcast about 2 months ago. And I really have to give a shout out to Rise 25, who is helping with my podcast, because without them, it would have been another task. So that's a system, that's a support group. And I utilize it in order I love basically spotlight people and business owners just like yourself. And when you came on the podcast, and it's actually launched, but I'm going to put it on my social media so people can access it. And, it's just like spotlight business owners so they inspire others to do better, and to systematize a business. I have thought leaders, like this morning I had Ari Mizell, who is the he is basically the guru of systematization and being the replaceable founder. So you can actually replace yourself as the founder, so you don't have to work in a day-to-day in your business. So he came on
Yeah.
and we talked all about systems.
Oh, I need to listen to that one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all,
Because that's scary.
but it's what?
It's a scary thought. Like, to figure out how to get somebody to be you, it's every business owner's dream. They're always like, if I could clone myself,
That's true. So that's what we clone. And I work with Ari on several projects where I write the processes for the businesses, and he does everything. Like he has a whole system about how to get yourself replaceable as an owner. And, so I bring different people that can talk about how to implement systems, how to automate, how to become better, because my goal with the podcast is to inspire business owners to do that, to systematize their business and to find themselves in a position where they can. I mean, actually, Ari and I talked about it today. It's not like you have to get out of your business, but get yourself to a position where you don't have to be in your business every single day, where you don't have to wear all the hats in the business, right? You are willing to do it. You want to do it if you do, but you don't have to. And that's what I want to inspire people to do, because my purpose is really to bring order and bring sanity and bring organization to the business world. And that is my gift, really, to do that. And I want to spread it throughout the podcast. So that's a long answer to your question.
No, but that's, again, when you're adding something to your business, there's got to be intention. There has to be a reason. You talk, exactly, you said your why. And we did the podcast for the same reason, that we want to spotlight, our customers and our people in our tribe, if you will, and people that are helping me with my business, because obviously I've chosen you. I get to thank you publicly for all that you've done for us. So I get to share you with everybody else, like, you guys, look what you could do with your business. And so that excites me too, and talking to people on the podcast, but also just because there's so much information out there, that a podcast is a really great way to, because it's going to resonate with someone, it's going to help somebody. And so, but again, having a reason why you're doing your podcast or doing whatever marketing that you are doing in your business, there's got to be an intention and a reason and a system.
Absolutely. But that's part of the system. That's what drives the system. By itself is going to go nowhere, right? It's a destination, and knowing that purpose and why are you doing it, why you want more customers, why you want more clients, why are you doing what you're doing, and then have basically the steps that lead towards that goal is huge.
Yeah. Well, Adi, thank you so much for being here and being my friend and my business person. I really, really do appreciate it. And you have done so much for me as a business owner and our company. And we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much. And where can people find you?
Well, thank you, Tracy, first of all. And people can find me, they can email me. It's Adi at bizsuccesscg.com. I know it's a mouthful, so it's BIZ, the word success spelled out, CG for consultinggroup.com. And also they can call us at 503-662-2911. That's our business phone, but we can also get text through there. So that might be easiest. So it's 503-662-2911.
Realtors and business owners love to text. So
that's right. I love texting too. Who likes to call? We just text.
It's another system.
Another system. Tracy, thank you so much for having me as a guest. And thank you for all you do. You are awesome.
Aw, thank you. Right back at you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adi.